I guess it would be rude not to put the roof down at some stage.
Hello everybody, what's happening, my name's Neil, welcome along to Midlife Motors, and today we're back in the MX5 because it's time to do our sort of yearly update, if you like. 6 years old this car now, and we are rapidly approaching the 10,000 mile mark. So I thought I'd run through the good things that have happened this year, no faults. I brought along the receipt from the service and the MOT, so we'll go through the costs. There is one niggle that just won't go away on this car though, so we'll go through that, and also a bit of a shock decision at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Right, I'll crack on. One thing I have noticed as the mileage has gone on the car, it definitely seems to be pulling a little bit stronger. I mean, this is not a fast car, but considering I came from a 2 litre, but albeit a 3.5, which is a heavier car, this has now got, it feels a fair bit quicker, and the gear change is getting smoother as well. It's still a bit lumpy when cold. Sometimes you have to double clutch, but we'll get over that. In fact, I might just try and prove my point here. There's no cars ahead. I do sometimes rev match, which is quite nice. I'll just let's get past the cyclist. But it is picking up speed, and it really revving out to the red line nicely now. I mean, it doesn't feel as harsh as it used to. It's good. The ride's really settled down nicely to the springs that we put on a couple of years ago. We've not had any reoccurrence of that horrible knocking noise when they weren't seated right, and we have used the car this year, both myself and Mrs. Midlife Motors, so it's had a good test of time and everything seems to be working okay. Very used to the Flying Miata Geo setup as well. I'd say what I've noticed with that is I think the standard setup is better when you're just using the car, you know, day to day normally. The Flying Miata setup does put the car a little bit more on edge. However, when you do start to push on, that's where it really comes to life. So there's a part of me that thinks, if you're using it as an everyday car, maybe that setup is a bit too extreme. But certainly when you start pushing it around the corners, the feedback and the lack of body roll, so much better with the new setup. So that's good too. We might even be able to do a little demonstration of what I was talking about. So coming down the gearbox, nice and easy. It's still a little bit damp here, but that corner speed and the lack of body roll, and you're just catching it a little bit on the way out. Much more predictable, the car now, and it's just the lack of body roll. Brilliant. Also enjoying the cabin of this car, nice and cozy. I think obviously having the hard top helps. I do prefer the sort of Targa experience to the full-on convertible look. It's a cold day today. We're in November in Scotland. Lovely and dry, but it's really cold outside. I've got the heated seats on just so the temperature's nice. So really enjoying it. These Recaro seats are absolutely superb. If you're thinking about getting an MX5, really try and search out one with these Recaro seats. Really transforms the look of the cabin and makes it such a nice place to be. Everything nice and close to hand. It's just good. It's a nice place to be just to go for a drive. So let's go for a drive. The value for money, the running costs still remain very small on this. We'll go through the service bill. I thought that was a bit expensive, but I don't know if that's a sign of the times. But the insurance is only, on the policy adds about £180 fully comprehensive for the two of us. In the 10,000 miles, the car's averaged 40.8 miles per gallon, which is pretty good at the moment. It's doing 83.6, which is really good. So that's good as well. Petrol going expensive doesn't really affect your want to drive this car. It's had no tires yet, it's had no brakes yet, and going by the service report, it won't need any of them anytime soon. Still plenty of meat on the brakes and tread on the tires. Tax is still £180 or there or thereabouts, so that's not gone through the roof or anything either. So financially and value wise, I mean, this car's probably, we bought it at quite a good point, and it's probably still worth what we paid for it. So value wise, the car's been, well, you can't really knock it. It's been absolutely ideal. Back at the beginning of the year, we gave the car a corrective, a machine polish, very carefully, because we know about the softness of this Soul Red paint. But I'd have to say this car really, I mean, at my age I shouldn't really care, but this car really turns head. We gave it a corrective polish, we treated it to, we ceramic guarded it, or ceramic guarded it, whatever it's called, and it really has, this car's not picked up a lot of stone chips. We managed to correct a couple of the swirl marks. Yeah, it's a good looking car, this, and when we get out and have a look around the outside, you'll see exactly what I mean. Combine that with the 25mm lowered eye-back springs, and yeah, life's good. Brakes nice. These cars brake really well, nice and straight and true. Get into the corner early. Feed the power in. Now that we don't have to wait like before on the standard suspension, we can use the throttle a little bit more. It'll be damp around here because it doesn't really get the sunshine. This one's off camber, but if we don't get thrown across the road there, just everything's smooth now, so you've got much more confidence in the car. This is a little bit of a blind crest, so we'll just go cautious here, and then there's a little bit of a tricky corner. This one, it tests the car a little bit because it is, this one's off camber as well. And just add the throttle as you get to the corner, so brake early like that, just a little tap, get the weight over the nose, and then just feed it in, feed it in, feed it in, feed it in. Shift early, just keep the power on, keep the power on, keep the power on. Joy, absolute joy. Now we're heading up to quite a sharp break. It's uphill, so that helped. Was trying to heel and toe there, but it didn't work too well. Through the corner, just absolutely superb. This is the bit I thought was quite expensive this year. £370 for a service, and it wasn't a big one. It included the engine oil, the injectors got cleaned. Every 2 years we have to do the brake fluid, so that was done as well, and there was an MOT. I think £200 of this was in the labour, £150 was the parts, and the remainder was VAT. A sign of the times, I think. You've got to keep it in tip-top condition though, so again, money well spent. Okay, gripe cut time coming up, and it's to do with these seats, not how great they look or how supportive they are, but it's to do with getting the right driving position. Now, I've messed around with these levers and pulled it in and out and put the steering wheel up and down way too long in my life, because you're trying to get the perfect position. You want your back at the right angle, you want your base at the right angle, you don't want it squeaking off the bulkhead behind, and you know, you want to be nice distance to the steering wheel, to the pedals, and you get all that sorted, which is a lot of faffing around. Then Mrs. Midlife Motors comes along and changes it all. You get back in the car and you're back to square one. Please, Mazda, please put memory seats on the driver's seat in this car. Just the two. You don't need to do the passenger seat, because you just put that as far back as you can and leave it and get the most amount of room. But this, living with a car, is the biggest pain in the bum. This is the sort of time where I prefer driving with the roof down. Getting towards the end of the day, it's not ballistically hot like it can be on some summer's day, when driving with the roof down just ain't much fun. It is a bit cooler now though, so hence the change of hat. I hope you found this informative. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give us a thumbs up. Oh, and if you want to hit subscribe and see what happens with this and the next car, then great stuff. Thanks very much for watching. I shall see you again soon. Goodbye. I'm coming up to my favourite road now, so last little blast before we park it away.